Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Gary Dairy Queen, inventor of the worst fries ever created. And today's video is probably the most relatable video that I've done on the channel. The house we're cleaning is not the result of hoarding disorder or any mental illness. It's just a big family who's busy and has a cluttered house. So there's no tragic backstory, no complex psychological issues, no stray wild moose running rampant through the house, just throwing clothes on the floor angrily. The house just got messy. I mean, it happens. But I'm really glad that this house got on my radar because it gives me a chance to show you one of the easiest hacks that a housekeeper can use to make chaotic rooms look just 10,000 times better. And the great thing is it doesn't take any special equipment. It doesn't take any weird specialized cleaners, no special rags or anything like that. It just boils down to pick up and vacuum, and that's it. You can throw in some dusting in there if you want, but just picking up and vacuuming by itself will straight up blow your mind how much better it makes these rooms look in the after pictures. What we'll be dealing with today is a playroom, which is where we're starting out, and then 3 bedrooms. The playroom is the easiest out of all 4 rooms because that's just a simple matter of pick up the toys and put them in a toy box and then fold some blankets and straighten up. A little bit of vacuuming and then it's done. The bedrooms take a lot more effort, but you'll see why here in a minute. So cleaning is a time commitment. I think I did this one in about 4, maybe 5 hours. And when you put that into perspective, you imagine a family that is really busy and really big. So if you start budgeting your time that you spend in a day, you'll spend probably an hour or 2 waking up, getting ready for work, making breakfast, getting the kids off to do their kid things, like school, breakdance battles, professional wrestling career, whatever it is that kids do. I'm not educated in kid stuff. Then you have your actual work and the travel to and from, and before you know it, 10, maybe 12 hours of your day is just evaporated. Let's say that's 10. That leaves 14 hours left in the day. 8 of those hours is going to be spent hopefully sleeping. I mean, in a perfect world, the idea of 8 hours of sleep is laughable to me. I have chronic insomnia and almost no one I know sleeps 8 hours a night. That leaves 6 hours. We haven't even factored in things like making dinner for the kids, eating dinner yourself, taking the kids to their functions, doctor's appointments, therapy sessions when needed, and then all the other daily chores that go into just existing. After all that, it is very easy to look around at the kids' rooms or the rest of the house and say, this is too much, screw this, I'm going to bed. Or just, I have to sit down and watch some TV for a while or play on the computer or scroll through my phone just to decompress so I don't literally go insane. It's easy to get overwhelmed, to get burnt out, and in my experience, I think it's totally justified to just sit down and say, no, I'm not doing it. This can wait for another day. The only problem with that is that while you're trying to reset yourself, the rooms are getting messier and messier and messier. So when the day comes to finally clean it, it's like, oh my God, what do I even do? This is way overwhelming. Fortunately, I'm autistic and slightly crazy, so I actually like doing stuff like this. I like giving people a reset button so they can just start from scratch. Now, in doing something like this playroom, I don't really give myself an order to go by. In other words, I don't say, I'm going to start by picking up the trash, and then I'm going to fold clothes, then I'm going to put toys away. I actually think about it like geometry. I'm going to pick out like a section of the floor, and I'm going to clean that section of floor. This room was so small that I didn't really even have to do that. My goal for this room was just to start picking up items and then finding a place for it. So if the item I picked up was a blanket, then I just folded that blanket and put it in a spot, and that became the spot for all the folded clothes. If I picked up a toy, then it just got chucked into a toy bin, a toy box, a toy pit, a hole in which toys are crammed. Ignore that last one. Anyway, I just keep doing that until the floor is exposed, and then I can come back and vacuum it later. Vacuuming is typically the last thing that I do whenever I'm cleaning rooms. Now, the next room is the same process, but it's a little bit more complex because there's a lot more small toys and there's a lot more clothing to fold. If there's one criticism I have of the house, it would be that they desperately need a purge day. They need one day where they as a family can bring out all the toys and eliminate like 50% of them. Then they have a problem with clothing too. They have way too much for a family that size. And if I had time, I would actually sit down with them and we take all the clothing and put it in one big massive pile. And the goal would be that for every piece of clothing that goes through their hands, 75% of those would be donated or thrown away. If they were to do that, then all the clothes for each room would fit into the closets and or the dressers. And even at a 75% purge, they would still have an overload of clothing for each person. Now that sounds overwhelming for a lot of people, but really, if you were to take all of your clothes and you just say, bring it down to the living room, put it in a huge pile, sit there on the couch and start sorting through things, and you put a certain criteria into your head or set of criteria, it makes sorting through them and letting them go way easier. So the way I do it is, if it's old and you don't like it anymore, like it's out of style, it gets donated or thrown away. If it's got holes in it and it's just old and ratty, automatic throwaway. If it doesn't fit anymore, no, there's probably not going to be a time where you get to that size again. A lot of people keep clothes saying, well, if I ever gain weight or lose weight, I can fit into these again. Let's just assume that's not going to happen. And if it does happen, just buy new clothes later. If you haven't worn something in a year, let's get rid of it. Now, my personal goal is to have about 2 weeks worth of outfits, and they range from t-shirt and jeans to fancy slacks and dress shirts. I also consider myself a shoe guy, but I force myself to get rid of shoes that are worn out. I rotate some of my good shoes once they get to a worn out point and designate those as work shoes, and I just get rid of the ones that have just turned to crap. Most houses that I work on that are in this condition have an overload of shoes. We're talking 50 to 100 pairs of shoes, and it's just out of control to the point that they've forgotten that they even own 90% of them. Purging down those shoes is an excellent way to free up space in a closet. Now again, we didn't do that in this video. I'm cleaning in this house alone while they're all at work. But if they were to take that advice and do a big purge day or a purge week, they could easily quadruple the amount of space that they have in the house. Anyway, that aside, what I'm doing in this bedroom is I'm folding all the clothes and putting them in various clothes piles. A lot of them ended up going in the closet because they had extra shelf space in there. And then I'm putting all the toys with like toys. So if I have a bunch of toy trucks, they're all going to go in one toy box that has a bunch of trucks and cars in it. All the dollhouse stuff will be grouped together. And the biggest thing that I can do is out of sight, out of mind. So if I can find a place to put those where they're accessible, but they're not visual, they're not out in the middle of the floor, that by itself will make the room look 10 times cleaner. The third room was the most labor intensive because it was just all a mountain of clothes. When I'm folding a bunch of clothes like this, it's hard to tell what's dirty and what's clean. In my experience, for the most part, it's clean. It's just people take their stuff out of the dryer, they bring it up, they throw it on the floor or in a pile with other clean clothes. But the way I tell the difference is I typically fold, like say a shirt, I'll put the top of it between my chin and neck, and I'll hold the top of that shirt that way so that I can bring the sleeves together and fold it right down the middle. The dirty clothes won't typically smell bad. They'll smell like deodorant or perfume. Once I get to a pile that has a couple of those that smell like perfume, I know I'm in a dirty clothes pile. And when in doubt, it all goes into a laundry basket. Now in a teenage boy's room, it's a little bit different. Their old clothes typically smell like must and malignant ego. Typically, when I find a shirt like that, I'll give it a small lecture on particle physics and then throw it in the basket. Not for any particular reason. I just get bored while I'm folding clothes. Look, sanity is a made-up concept, Mom. Mom! For those of you who are new to the channel, or I guess for those of you who are not new to the channel but have an actual life outside of watching cleaning videos, in the last handful of videos I have been giving recommendations to other channels that I really like, and people seem to really like that because it turns out that the people who watch this type of video basically have the same taste in YouTube channels as me. I'm going to break that theory today. Anyway, I've got 4 channels for you that are really awesome. The first is a brand new cleaning channel called Fife Free Cleaning. I posted about this on my community tab. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you'll get access to those community posts and notifications if you subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed yet, stop being a devil worshiper and actually subscribe, man. Anyway, Fife Free Cleaning, super cool. They do what I do. They go into places in the UK and they clean up really extreme messes for free. They only have 4 videos. Whenever I posted about them on the community tab, I think they had like 120, and then overnight they jumped up to something like 600. So I'd love to get them up to 1,000 as soon as possible so they can start monetizing. The next one you're probably not going to like, but I'm going to ask you a favor. There's a channel called Race Proven Motorsports. All the links to these channels are in the description. These guys are going to be working on my Camaro probably this summer, and they're a great channel if you're into cars. I would imagine most of my audience is not, but if you could go over there and tell them that Midwest Magic Cleaning gave them a shout out, that would be so cool, because I want them to know that I'm trying to promote their channel. They're really cool guys. Plus, they're going to be working on my car, and I would rather be on their good side when they do that. The third is called Midlife Stockman. Everybody's been asking me for weeks to shout him out. I already watch Midlife Stockman, and so I wanted to shout him out this week. He's a kind of a lawn care person, but he does a whole bunch of stuff for a whole bunch of people for free. He's super giving, hard working, and the videos are just a pleasure to watch. I really like him a lot. And the fourth is another furniture restoration video that I've loved since the beginning of his channel. It's called Epic Upcycling. Epic Upcycling takes everything from throwaway pallets to scrap wood to just junk material and builds from scratch the most amazing pieces of furniture and cabinetry and shelving that you've ever seen. It is incredible. The guy uses mostly hand tools, almost exclusively hand tools, and he makes some of the most impressive, beautiful furniture I've ever seen, and it is mind-blowing what he can take from a junk pile and turn it into a high-end piece of furniture. It's what I watch whenever I really need to calm my brain down and just disconnect from the world. But if you all go to any of these channels, please give them a shout out. Let them know that I sent you there. That way they know where their traffic's coming from. They're already big channels, most of these are. But anytime I get a big boost in traffic, I always wonder where it came from, and it drives me nuts not knowing that someone's mentioned me. And one more thing before we get back to the video, that is, I mentioned earlier, we're trying to get to 1 million subscribers. We are right around 560,000 right now. At the rate of growth the channel's been experiencing, if it continues to grow at this pace, we should have 1 million by the end of this year. So if you haven't subscribed, that would be awesome if you did it. It's the only thing I ask in return for doing these free cleanups is I want the gold YouTube plaque. We have the silver one already. I really want the gold YouTube plaque, mainly so I can show it to my kids and their friends and rub it in their faces and make them feel super jealous, because that's how I roll, son. Call me super jealous making Johnny back in Milwaukee. Yo, man, is that old super jealous making Johnny? I don't know. Let's walk in his office and see if we get jealous. I bet we do. The last room is super easy because it's just folding clothes and then putting away small things that I found like tablets and books. I did a little bit of straightening up on top of their dressers, but if there's one piece of advice I can give you on making a room look instantly better and actually improving your mood the second you get it done, it's to make the bed. Now, I'm a bit hypocritical because I don't make my bed, but I can tell you on the days where I do, once I get it done, I instantly feel better for whatever reason. I have no idea why. Maybe that's part of the autism, and enjoying what looked like a big pile and mound of chaos now looks symmetrical and orderly. But I should take my own advice because the minute I get that done, I just feel good. For those of you who are regulars to the channel, you know I've been going through autistic burnout. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a fascinating subject, and it is likely not what you think it is. It has been exhausting and terrifying, and if I took my own advice and made my bed every morning when I woke up, I'm positive it would help me out mentally in even the slightest way, which, to be honest, right now, any mental improvement is a good improvement. It's a good step forward. And one more piece of advice that I've got where clothing is concerned. I don't know if you guys have the same ability to do this as me, because I don't know if you have the room or whatever to pull this off. I never ever take my clothes out of the dryer and put them into a laundry basket and then take them into another room to fold. I pull mine out one piece at a time from the dryer and fold it or hang it up right there on the spot. Not only does that ensure that the clothes get done entirely and are ready to put away, but it also happens to prevent wrinkles because they're coming out of a hot dryer, so the clothes are still malleable. If you throw them into a basket and then take them into another room, not only are you giving yourself a window to just walk away from those and let them sit, but also as those cool, the weight of the clothes press down on each other in the pile, and it will set in wrinkles. If you have the ability to just fold them straight from the dryer right while you're standing there, take out a shirt, fold it, put it on top of the washer, grab another shirt, fold it, put it there. Then when you're done, you take the whole pile up and you put them where they go. You will prevent so much clutter and so much headache by doing that. And I see that happening in a lot of houses that I help out where they just get the clothes out of the dryer and they're like, just shove them in here so I can get the washer load into the dryer. Then I'll deal with these later. And if you were to go through this house and eliminate the clothing clutter, this is like a 1 hour cleanup. Another piece of advice concerning laundry is never spin kick your laundry. The last time I did that, the shirts and pants disintegrated back into their original threads, and then the cats get tangled up in it. Any stray moose that happen to be in your house trip into it, and you've got to untangle your moose. They're all like sad. They're like, please don't spin kick the laundry and then turn them into threads. I am a friend of the house moose, and now I'm tangled in the threads. Shut up, house moose. Now hold still while I untangle you. Nobody wants that, man. The last thing I do in this house is vacuum. People ask me in most of my videos what my favorite vacuum is. My favorite is a cheap one from Walmart called Hoover Power Drive Swivel XL. It's specifically made for like pet hair and stuff like that. The motor on it is really powerful. It's lightweight, it's cheap. I'm not sponsored by them. That's my favorite vacuum. And there's only one complaint I have about it is if you have a housekeeping business and you're constantly bringing vacuums in and out of your car, I would get something sturdier, because if you move this around a lot, it's got a lot of plastic pieces on it, and sometimes those are easy to chip or break. The one I'm using in this video is a Shark, and it's their vacuum. I am not a fan of Sharks. At least the vacuum. The animal's fine. It stays in the ocean. I stay on my land. We're cool. But for me, Sharks are way too expensive, and they're actually not as good as that Hoover that I use. Quick news before I take off. On the 22nd of July, here in just a couple of weeks, Barbie will be down to do a collaboration with me. Bonnie may or may not be here. It depends on her energy level and her mental ability and physical ability to travel. If she comes in, she's coming in from Utah. She's just like me, where traveling is an absolute nightmare. And the last time she traveled to do a collab with me, she didn't have the greatest time getting here. But if she's here, we will have a triple collaboration again. It's going to be awesome. We've already got a house lined up, and it is a doozy. For those of you who are new, we have a members only area. The bottom tier gets you access to Discord. Middle tier gets you that and an additional video or live every week. And there's a top tier just for people who want to support the channel monetarily in a bigger way. That one was done by request. I typically like to, when I can, do a live stream of the house that I'm currently working on and just BS with them while I'm cleaning. That isn't always possible, because a lot of the time I work out in the country where I have no signal. But that tier is called Team Filth, and they are crazy in the best way. Anyway, members, I will see you this Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. Later.